You feel it, don't you? She got close. Then out of nowhere, she vanished emotionally. She started giving you more. And just when you thought the connection was real, just when you started to believe, she pulled away. Let me explain what just happened. From a woman who knows exactly why. When we get close to a man and start to feel something real, something powerful, it triggers something inside us we don't talk about. Fear. Not of you, not of the relationship, but of losing control. Because closeness makes us vulnerable. It opens us up. And when you get too close, we start to feel exposed, like you can actually see through the mask. And here's the part most men never understand. The moment you make us feel safe is the moment we start testing that safety. We pull back not because you failed, but because we're scared you might. It's self-sabotage. We start reading into things, overthinking, looking for signs you'll leave, or worse, that you're too good to be true. So we retreat, not because we don't feel something, but because we do. We feel it too deeply. And that depth, it terrifies us, because it means we don't have the power anymore. You do. So we pull away to see what you'll do. Will you chase? Will you crumble? Will you panic? Or will you hold your frame and show us that emotional chaos doesn't shake you? Because the truth is, we want to come back. We just want to know it's safe to do so. Without judgment, without weakness, without begging. You thought everything was finally clicking. The way she looked at you, the softness in her voice, the way she opened up, told you things she never told anyone. And then silence. She went cold, less responsive, pulled back without warning. You're stuck wondering, what did I do wrong? But here's the truth. It's not always about what you did. It's about what she started to feel. When a woman starts catching real feelings, she loses her emotional advantage. And that scares her. She starts replaying old wounds, past betrayals. Every time she let her guard down before and got hurt. You may be nothing like them, but her nervous system doesn't care. It remembers pain. And closeness feels dangerous. So what does she do? She retreats to gain control. Pulls back so she can breathe. She wants to feel powerful again because falling for you made her feel exposed. And if she's used to chaos or games, being around a man who's calm, clear, and grounded, that triggers her insecurities. Because now she has something to lose. That's why she tests you by disappearing emotionally. Not always to punish, but to protect herself from what she fears might come. She's asking without words, can you handle me when I'm messy? Will you chase me like every other man? Or will you stay calm and make me come back to you? Here's what most guys get wrong. They start panicking, texting more, asking what's wrong, trying to fix it. That just confirms her fear, that she holds the power. But the man who doesn't flinch, the man who doesn't beg, the man who lets her come to him, that man becomes magnetic. Because we pull away not always to leave. Sometimes, we're waiting to see if you're strong enough to stay solid. You've got to understand something deep about us. We crave connection, but we fear losing ourselves in it. So when you start touching that raw part of us, the part that feels safe, open, exposed, it awakens our deepest instincts. To pull away before we fall too hard. We don't always know we're doing it. Sometimes it's subtle. We delay replies. We become busy. We stop initiating the way we used to. And you feel that energy drop. It's real. We create distance because closeness feels risky. Not just because we're scared of you, but because we're scared of who we become when we care too much. That kind of vulnerability, it means you have the power to hurt us, to see the parts we hide, to get under our skin and touch the fears we never speak aloud. So we go cold. We pretend to be unbothered. We distract ourselves. But inside, we're just testing the waters. We want to know, will you react like every other man? Or will you hold your masculine frame like it's untouchable? Because if you start chasing too hard, if you start trying to fix her coldness, you fall out of the position that made her want you in the first place. We don't pull away because we want weakness. We pull away because we want certainty. And when you stay centered, unmoved, unbothered, that tells us you're emotionally untouchable, that we're not your entire world, that you've got a life, a purpose, a spine. That's what pulls us back stronger than any sweet text or emotional plea ever could. Because a man who can handle our emotional storms without breaking, he's not just wanted, he's needed. The moment a woman starts to feel something real, her mind goes into overdrive. What if this doesn't last? What if he cheats? What if I love him more than he loves me? That fear becomes louder than the connection. So instead of leaning in, we sabotage it. Not always on purpose. Sometimes it's unconscious, but it happens fast. And you, the man standing steady, you feel blindsided because you gave her consistency. You gave her safety. And yet, she started backing off. But here's the harsh truth. Women are addicted to emotional highs and lows. If she's used to chaos, your calm can feel boring. Your stability? It scares her more than a man who disappears and comes back. Because with him, she knows the game. With you, she doesn't. That's why she'll start picking fights out of nowhere, act moody, withdraw after a beautiful moment, not because you did something wrong, but because things felt too right. And here's where men lose the game. They react. They chase. They start apologizing for energy they didn't create. And the second you do that, you step out of the masculine role she was drawn to in the first place. But the man who doesn't flinch, who sees the emotional turbulence for what it is, who doesn't take it personally, he becomes the anchor she didn't know she needed. Because deep down, she wants to feel safe in her chaos. She wants to feel like she can pull back and still trust that you won't fall apart. That's when she returns. Not just physically, but emotionally. Because women don't stay with the man who chased her out of panic. We stay with the man who stayed rooted, even when we were spinning. We don't pull away because the connection wasn't real. We pull away because it was. Because for a split second, you touched something in us that felt bigger than control. And for women who've been burned, betrayed, disappointed, that kind of emotion feels dangerous. It's not the red flags that scare us. It's the green ones. Because when you're consistent, present, and strong, we start to lower our defenses. And that's when the fear creeps in. What if he sees the real me? What if he gets bored once I open up? What if he only wanted the chase? So we pull back to protect the image, the fantasy, the illusion of control. We stop texting first. We get vague with our words. We cancel plans with excuses that feel thin because they are. And in that moment, we're watching you closely. How will you react to the change? Will you lean in desperately? Or will you stay grounded? Because the truth is, pulling away isn't always about testing you. It's about testing ourselves. Testing if we're ready to surrender to something real. To feel something again after numbing ourselves for so long. To trust a man who actually shows up. And sometimes, we just need space to feel the absence. To miss the steadiness you brought. To realize how rare it is to find a man who doesn't fold when a woman withdraws. So when she pulls back, don't chase. Don't question. Stay grounded. Live your life. Let her feel the gravity of your absence. Because if what she felt was real, she'll come back. And when she does, she'll come back softer, more sure, more ready. Because the man who gives her space without losing his power is the man she can finally trust with her heart. You see, when a woman pulls away, it doesn't always mean she's done. Sometimes, it means she's overwhelmed. We're not as simple as we pretend to be. We want intensity. But when it shows up in front of us, real and masculine, we don't always know how to handle it. You make her feel seen. That's powerful and terrifying. Because being seen means she can't hide anymore. Her walls start cracking, and when that happens, she does what she knows best. She runs. Back to what's familiar. Back to old patterns. Back to control. Not because she wants someone else, but because she's still unsure if she deserves you. And here's the secret we'll never say out loud. The moment we start feeling safe with you, we also feel dangerously attached to you. And if she's been the strong one her whole life, attachment feels like weakness. It feels like losing power. So, she distances herself to reclaim it, even if it costs her the very connection she craves. That's why chasing her only makes it worse. It reinforces the idea that she controls the dynamic. And once she senses that, the attraction shifts. But when you stay composed, when you don't need to explain yourself, when your energy says, I'm here, but I don't chase, that hits her deeper than any romantic words ever could. Because now, she sees it. You're not like the others. You're not reacting. You're leading. And for a woman who pulls away out of fear, there's nothing more attractive than a man who doesn't flinch in the face of emotional confusion. You want her back? Don't chase her emotion. Make her feel the gravity of your presence, even in your silence. You want to know why it hurts so much when she pulls away? Because just days ago, you felt her energy. You felt her lean in. You saw it in her eyes. The softness, the spark, the surrender. And now, she's guarded, distant, suddenly too busy, or not in the mood. But here's the paradox most men never understand. The closer we feel to you, the more afraid we become of losing ourselves in you. That's when our survival instinct kicks in. We look for reasons to pull away, little flaws, minor disagreements, moments we can twist into signs that maybe this isn't right. We do it not because we don't want love, but because we don't want to fall too deep and lose control. So we start protecting our ego. We protect the version of ourselves that's independent. That doesn't need a man. That's always in control. Because being emotionally exposed, That's a dangerous game for a woman who's been broken before. So even if she wants you, she may still push you away, just to see if the connection can survive without her clinging to it. And this is the fork in the road most men reach. Panic and chase her, or pause. Hold your position, and trust your presence speaks louder than any pursuit. Because if she felt anything real, your stillness will echo louder than your words. She'll wonder why you're not reacting, why you're not begging, why you're not doing what every other man did. And that silence, that grounded, masculine silence, it forces her to confront her fear, to realize she might lose a man who didn't just chase her body, but stood still for her soul. There's a moment every woman hits when she pulls away, and it's not the moment you think. It's not when she stops texting, not when she cancels plans, not even when she says she needs space. It's after the silence, after the distance, after you didn't chase. That's when the doubt creeps in. She replays your last words, checks your social media, wonders if she pushed too far. And here's the twist. We don't pull away expecting you to stay distant. We pull away expecting you to chase. Because every man before you did. But when you don't, when you stay centered in your power, it flips the script in our minds. Suddenly, we're the ones questioning. We're the ones leaning forward. We're the ones realizing we might have just tested the one man who doesn't need us to validate his worth. And that shift, it changes everything. Because a woman can only play games with a man who's emotionally invested in the outcome. But when your energy says, I know what I bring, and I'm not entertaining confusion, you stop being an option and start becoming a standard. Now she's the one wondering if she misread your depth, if she pushed away something real, if you've already started moving on, not in anger, but in clarity. Because nothing scares a woman more than realizing she pulled away from a man who didn't chase her out of fear, but let her walk away out of strength. That's the man she remembers. That's the man who haunts her thoughts. That's the man she comes back to, if she's truly ready. If you've ever wondered why a woman leans in, gives you her heart, and then suddenly disappears, it's not because the connection was fake. It's because the connection was real. And real makes her vulnerable. Real makes her afraid. Real demands more from her than the surface-level attention she's used to giving. So she retreats. Not always to replace you. Sometimes just to protect herself from the power you have. And here's where men lose themselves. They take her distance personally. They rush in. They panic. They try to convince her to come back. But the man who understands feminine nature, he doesn't chase. He doesn't explain. He doesn't beg. He stays grounded. Because he knows, if what she felt was real, she'll return on her own. And if she doesn't, she was never ready for a man like him anyway. So let her pull away. Let her test. Let her spiral. You just stay in your power. Because that's what separates you from every other man she's ever known. You don't react. You don't break. You don't fear the distance. Because you know something she doesn't. She'll come back to the man who doesn't need her, but knows he's wanted. That's the kind of man a woman pulls away from, and regrets ever letting go.